Okay, is it working? Yes, it is. Hey, it's Pop Peeps, Television 77 here today, and as you see, I'm screen recording my normal camera because there are some things that I want to switch back on between Discord and this, but as you can tell from the title, today I'll be doing a more retrospective look at Sakura Scramble, seeing the best parts, the not as good parts, even though the parts that aren't as good as those best parts, and just seeing where my overall opinion on the story lands now that I've completed it for a third time. But yeah, let's just get into it. First, one of the most important parts to any story, in my opinion, the most important part, the characters. Now, you guys already know about Poppy, my favorite fictional character of all time. Nothing can change that. She obviously gets a 10 out of 10. But enough focusing on Poppy. Let's move to Raven. Now, with Raven, she's still a 10 out of 10 character, but I think that there are some issues that do need to be addressed with the story. Raven doesn't get much focus in this story, and I think that if Raven got more focus, she would still be, she would be a better 10 out of 10 than she currently is. She is currently pretty low when it comes to being a 10 out of 10, and I think that at the same time, sticking on the subject of characters being affected by how much time they get, I think Willow got to where she is worse of a character because she got so much focus in a story where she didn't really need that focus. Everyone knows that story already. Everyone knows how that feels to a certain degree, or knows someone who knows how that feels. So yeah, I mean, it doesn't really need much focus on a store, in the story. So overall, I think Willow is easily at least an 8 out of 10 character, but she definitely could be improved if less time was spent on her, because that just makes a lot of the time feel bland and pointless because nothing's really happening in the story. You're just learning more about her when you've already learned enough from the first few chapters. And that is my major issue with Sakura Scramble. Now, there are a lot of grammatical errors, but overall, in the big picture, the grammatical errors don't affect the quality of the game. And that is something that has always been true to a certain degree. I mean, sure, if grammatical errors are absolutely everywhere, then it can affect someone's enjoyment of the game, but I'm normally not one of those people. I just like to play a game and just look at it as what it is and not the grammar that they use. It was probably some translation error, even with a lot of that, because the games were originally made in Japan for Japanese people. So I can get why there are so many errors. Now, when it comes to the Ruby and ticket system, I'm also fine with that across every Genius game. I think it's a good way to make people be patient and actually get invested into the story thinking about it, because if someone just rushes through it, then they're not going to remember anything. I mean, it really just gives enough time for it to linger in your head and for you to decide whether you like the game or not. And that is honestly something I really appreciate. Not to mention with the rubies, you can get them without paying for them, but you actually have to put in effort. The ruby system, sometimes it can be a bit tedious. I wish that it was always random instead of consistently getting lower when you play that slot machine minigame. But overall, the Ruby system is still fairly enjoyable. And when you're watching the ads that are in the videos you watch to multiply your points by 3, that those ads are giving Genius money. So in the end, it's a win-win. You get your points so you can get the rubies. Genius gets their ads so they can get the money. And honestly, I really like that system, even though I think it could be made better. But that has nothing to do with Soccer Scramble. That's just a Genius thing in general. and overall, the story still remains a 10 out of 10. Poppy is absolutely brilliant, my favorite fictional character of all time. A Raven is still 10 out of 10, even though I think she could be a little bit better. Willow, I think some of the focus on her should have went to Raven because I feel like Poppy got enough focus and doesn't need it anymore. But I feel like Raven was missing something when it came to the amount of time she had, and I think Willow got too much of that time, so we didn't really get to see how Raven's character would actually end up. Now, in the end, though, like I said, 10 out of 10 game. But let's talk about some other stuff. The story. Now, I'm not really someone who's normally into the cliche high school story, but it actually works really well in this one. Basically, the plot is you're going into your senior year of high school with one thought in mind, which is finding your true love and confessing under the Sakura tree, because legend has it that if a couple confesses under the Sakura tree, then they will forever, well, they will eternally be in love. And honestly, that is a really interesting way to integrate that plot line. And, well, because nobody would think about, well, a lot of people at least wouldn't think that it would last forever if it was just in your senior year of high school that it started, because everyone, well, people drift apart and things may happen, but in the end, I mean, this story puts a really good spin on it. Even if it's not the most interesting or unique, I feel like they did it in a really good way. Now, in my opinion, the best part about the Genius games in general, a second to the characters, would have to be the background design. And Sakura Scramble really brings out just how beautiful the background design is. Even with just basic locations like the school, your house, Willow's house, it all is just stunning. The soccer fields, when you have to go outside for the athletic events, just amazing. And don't even get me started on the soccer tree itself or this snowy area. I've literally made an entire Facebook post explaining why that scene in the snow with Poppy was, in my opinion, one of the best scenes in fiction. Even though it's not from a movie, so I don't know if you could really consider it a scene. I do, because it still takes up a certain amount of time that a scene would, even if the characters aren't technically moving, because they're all 2D and animated. But yeah, the background design has been absolutely brilliant across all Genius games, and I'm glad that I got to re experience where my love of their background design started. Like I said, game is a 10 out of 10, and honestly, I think I may come back to this. It will just be a while, of course, because I can't just go back to it every single time that I want to. It would get boring for you guys. But this is easily the most fun I've ever had with YouTube. And I hope that you guys have been having fun with it as well. Thank you for watching my retrospect on Soccer Scramble. And I really hope you guys enjoyed the series just as much as I did. Well, be prepared because the next Genius game that I'm going to be playing through after Spellbound Schoolgirls and Welcome to Folklore Manor, I think I'm going to put it up to a vote for you guys. Anyways, guys, this has been Typhlosion 787, and I'm out of the house. Bye.